So talk about more about your recruiting process. I think every kid, that's like their biggest question. Like, how do you get recruited? Just in your eyes, what were some of the things maybe you wish you did more of, or maybe you partook in more camps or clinics in that light? How would you describe your recruiting process?
No, definitely. I mean, my dad and my uncles, they were big time lacrosse players back in their day. They went to Delphi when they were D1. So they kind of helped us. My dad helped us a lot, kind of just going through the whole process. And he was our coach growing up in travel, and he actually coached us our senior year in high school. So just going through him definitely helped a lot because he had a lot of connections and he kind of just knew the college coaching features and stuff like that. He coached once he got out of college. So he was like a volunteer and grad assistant at Stony Brook, would actually coach Canella, who coaches at UMass now. So growing up, I always wanted to go to UMass. That was my dream school. And we always went to their summer camps. So and we definitely went to a lot of camps during our young ages, and even growing up, kind of more recruiting stuff, like top 205, champ camp and stuff like that. That's not really around anymore. So what I would say is just kind of try to narrow it down as best you can to maybe 5 or 6 schools that you're interested in, that fit your major and fit your style of play, and kind of go to those recruiting days at those schools. So it's easier to be seen through those coaches instead of kind of going towards bigger groups with 200, 150 kids that all these coaches are trying to really look at. So you don't really getting that much of a good look. So that's kind of what I've been trying to tell my kids that I'm training. They're at the higher level that now are getting recruited. Just kind of, if you have that in mind, if you have those schools in mind, try to hone those in and kind of pick those schools and go to those recruiting showcases that they hold at their universities. But if not, then obviously go to those kind of bigger things that a lot of coaches are at. So you just get seen. And then once you kind of get recognition and coaches kind of reach out to you, then kind of, like I said, go to those showcases. So you could just play in front of those coaches in a more isolated situation.
Just like looking back, why do you kind of think that you were under recruited? Was it just like coming from a small school, or was it just like that undersized type thing? Or
I think it really came down to being undersized. I mean, our travel team we played for was Team Long Island, and we had a bunch of kids that were committed to going D1. Even our older teams, they had a lot of kids that were committed too. So, and our high school was a decent school on Long Island. So I would say it was kind of undersized. Not really growing as much throughout that was back when the recruiting process kind of, you can commit whenever you wanted. Mm-hmm. So a lot of kids in my grade, and my friends were committing earlier just because they were developed and they were sized. So they were getting looked at. So I think the undersized really played a big part in my recruiting process. But I mean, at the end of the day, it kind of came down to Sacred Heart and Albany, between those two schools that me and my brother were both looking at. I was getting other looks, but not really anything I was kind of interested in. So at the end of the day, it was definitely Sacred Heart and Albany that I kind of came down to.